الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين سيدنا ونبينا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه وأزواجه ومن تبعهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين. أما بعد، فأعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. أولم يكف بربك أنه على كل شيء شهيد. صدق الله العظيم. Today, inshallah, we'll be studying with the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Ash-Shahid. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is reminding us, أَوَلَمْ يَكْفِ بِرَبِّكَ أَنَّهُ عَلَى كُلِّ شَيْءٍ شَهِيدٌ. Isn't enough that Allah is witnessing over everything? The message of the ayah is that don't wait for people to watch over you before you would stop doing something wrong. Is that enough to know that Allah is witnessing? Isn't that enough? Which means it's an ayah of Quran that if we memorize this ayah, keep it in our mind, it will be something good that we initially at least get the habit of reciting this ayah continuously. Initially it will be just a knowledge. And as far as knowledge, yes, we all agree to it. As believers, we all accept the fact that Allah is everywhere, He witnesses anything and everything, and He knows everything. But if this knowledge will become the reality in our hearts and the real understanding, something that is always in our memory, that is always there and stops everything else, just like we have in the computers, there are certain programs that will prevent the pop-ups on the screen. So no more pop-ups anymore. This ayah would do that function. أَوَلَمْ يَكْفِ بِرَبِّكَ أَنَّهُ عَلَى كُلِّ شَيْءٍ شَهِيدٌ. And now whenever these pop-ups are coming up, different things are coming up in the mind, this thing will just stop it. Go back. Allah is watching. You can't come in here. Allah is watching over here. This will be the beautiful way of working on ourselves towards bettering our deen and iman, improving our a'mal al-salihah, good deeds, and mainly, and the most important thing that the greatest benefit of it would be that a person will be able to stay away from evils, wrongdoing, to the extent gradually we can just practice this ayah in stopping ourselves from wrongdoing, and gradually it would come to that even the pop-ups that are only in the mind, which means thoughts. Person would remind himself of this ayah, أَوَلَمْ يَكْفِ بِرَبِّكَ أَنَّهُ عَلَى كُلِّ شَيْءٍ شَهِيدٌ. Isn't enough that Allah is witnessing? I stop doing the physically wrongdoings. I don't do those because people will see me. When I come to the masjid, I make sure that I behave in such a way because all people are watching. But I don't make sure that I think in that way. I never even try to control my thought. The reason is, we forgot that just like there are people who are witnessing here, there is shahid over this mind also. If we remember that shahid is watching my thoughts, yes, those that would just come and go, they fly by, they are not responsible for it. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made our computers such that they don't get affected by those that just would fly by. The example of it is just like a bird flying over our homes. We are not responsible which bird flies over whose home. But now, if a person sits up there on the roof of his house and is trying to catch these birds, well, I like this color, so let me get this one. I like the voice of that bird, so let me get that one. And he's sitting around the trees, he's hiding in the trees, he's sitting and hiding on his roof. Now he is responsible for those things. These are the thoughts that we will be responsible of correcting. As far as those that they come and go, we don't even have to worry about them. But the ones that we have to really take care of are those that when a thought comes up, it just pops up and then you click on it. It looks like this is something good. Let me see what's in it. And now you click over there, you go in there. And once you get in there, then you just keep on getting in. and it will be difficult to come back, to take a U-turn and come back. If a person was to control himself and herself, you would just control yourself before you click there. Without seeing what's in it, you would just control yourself. Whatever it is, I don't care. It's out. But once a person does not even control himself at that point, then how can he or she control him or herself after getting in it? It will be more difficult. At the time when we don't even care about these thoughts, we just let them go, we are not responsible. But at the time that we click on these thoughts, which means now the person is just sitting on the roof of his house trying to catch these birds. And now the thoughts are going on. And we are thinking also, yeah, this will be good if I go this way, I do it this way. So this is what we need to control. That is the time when we need to remind ourselves, أَوَلَمْ يَكْفِ بِرَبِّكَ أَنَّهُ عَلَى كُلِّ شَيْءٍ شَهِيدٌ isn't enough for me to know that Allah is witnessing over everything? What if on the day of judgment, Allah will play back all of my thoughts in front of all of my people, in front of my parents, my children, my wife, my spouse, my teachers, all the other people around me who consider me such a great person? What if Allah will play these thoughts in front of those people? What they will think of me? Not only this, even worse than this, just it's enough to know that even if Allah will not play it before others, He knows it. If people would know it, they would consider me to be out of this position. I'm not worthy of these positions. I'm not worthy of even shaking hands with me and saying salam to me. They should even put a sign that this person is not allowed in the masjid. If people would know of my thoughts. So now Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows about it. What is my position there? أَوَلَمْ يَكْفِي. This is the ayah that I'm reminding. أَوَلَمْ يَكْفِي بِرَبِّكَ. Look at the structure of the ayah, how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is reminding us. Isn't enough to know that your Rabb, عَلَى أَنَّهُ عَلَى كُلِّ شَيْءٍ شَهِيدٌ, that He is witnessing over everything. And He knows what's going there. Nothing is hidden from Rabbul Alameen subhanahu wa ta'ala. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is ash-shahid. He is the witness. There is no need to have any more witnesses in this world that can witness against that. If a person is in the darkness of the night, all by himself, and he is able to do anything at this time, and no one can watch this person, no one can witness against this person, no one would be able to hold this person responsible for anything, we need to ask ourselves, أَوَلَمْ يَكْفِ بِرَبِّكَ أَنَّهُ عَلَى كُلِّ شَيْءٍ شَهِيدٌ. Isn't enough that Allah is witnessing it? Why do we need another witness? That's enough. He is the judge. He is going to present that to us. That's it. He is going to make our hands speak on that day. A person is walking with some trash in his hands. I'm giving some very simple example that we all can digest easily and see ourselves being in it occasionally. Walking with some trash in our hands. I want to throw it somewhere. When everyone is watching me, no, it's not good. I don't look too good when I throw these trash in people's yards. Okay, look around to make sure no one is watching. Quickly throw it. أَوَلَمْ يَكْفِ بِرَبِّكَ أَنَّهُ عَلَى كُلِّ شَيْءٍ شَهِيدٌ. Isn't this enough to know that Allah is witnessing it? This is, as I said, it's an ayah that can revive our life really. It can just bring that whole change into our life once this ayah will come into our memory and we just keep on repeating this ayah and remind ourselves of it. That just remember, Allah is witnessing it. And if Allah is witnessing it, simple means is going to come into the court. Is going to come in the court. Because we will be in the court of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah will be the judge. Can I hide it from Rabbul Alameen subhanahu wa ta'ala? No, He's witnessing it and He's going to tell me, I saw you doing it. Don't you believe? And there will be people who would say, no, Ya Allah, I don't think I did it. Okay. Seal his mouth. اليوم نختم على أفواههم. Today we will seal their mouth. وتكلمنا أيديهم. Their hands will speak to us. Another ayah. Their skins will speak. وَقَالُوا لِجُلُودِهِمْ لِمَ شَهِدْتُمْ عَلَيْنَا. They will say to the skin of the body, why did you witness against me? And the skin will say, قَالُوا أَنْطَقَنَا اللَّهُ الَّذِي أَنْطَقَ كُلَّ شَيْءٍ. Allah made us speak. He's shahid. He is witnessing it. And then He will make even our own body speak for us. So this is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's shahada. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, through His name of Ash-Shaheed, is reminding us that always remember, wherever you are, He's watching all of your situations. In fact, through this, there is another situation that may become easy for a believer to go through, and that is sometime when a person has to go through some difficulties on the hands of others. And then you may have an opportunity to do something in return. I can take revenge. I can do something. I can take this person to the court. Once I know that Allah is watching, He knows I'm Muslim. I have been wronged. This person is just totally doing wrong to me. That's it. Someday, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to pay me for it, takes it from Him, whatever it happens. But my Rabb subhanahu wa ta'ala, He's witnessing it, and He knows that I'm not doing wrong to this person. This is enough for me. Another very important situation when we need to remind ourselves of this ayah is, at a time when someone would do something wrong to us and shaitan would come up to tell us, you must take revenge. You must take your revenge because all the other people that are sitting around you, what they are going to think of you. At that time, we need to remind ourselves, let these people say whatever they want, but أَوَلَمْ يَكْفِ بِرَبِّكَ أَنَّهُ عَلَى كُلِّ شَيْءٍ شَهِيدٍ. This is enough for me to know that Allah is witnessing. He knows that this person have done wrong to me. And I haven't done nothing wrong to this person. So Allah is my witness, Allah is my judge, and I just put my trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Another name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, or attribute of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, is Al-Haq. Haq is the opposite of batil, truth and falsehood. What does it mean when we say Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is Al-Haq? Remember, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the only reality in this world. Everything else is just false. And the reason is, His existence is the real existence that has no answer. For us, what is my reality? Today here, tomorrow the person is gone. If this is the reality of our soul, then anything that comes of us will have the same situation. Because whatever we do it through different parts of our body, and these parts of the body, they are going to just go away. So anything that is made from this body, that we come and do it as part of our work, will just finish. So everything else is just false. Only Allah is the reality. This is why Allah's attribute is Al-Haq, that He is the only Haq. There is no other real Haq. Yes, we get the Haq from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the only reality, He's the only Haq, He's the only truth, and then everything, He is the source of every Haq. He is the source of every truth. Whatever truth we can have, if we get it from Rabbul Alameen subhanahu wa ta'ala is truth, we get it from anywhere else is just falsehood if it goes against what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says. So He is the source of every haqq and every truth. Always remember, the way Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is structured haqq is that haqq is always strong. Haqq is firm. Falsehood has no basis, no strength in it. And this is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, بَلْ نَقْذِفُ بِالْحَقِّ عَلَى الْبَاطِلِ فَيَدْمَغُهُ فَإِذَا هُوَ زَاهِقٌ. We throw the haqq over the batil. We throw the haqq over the batil. This haqq damages the batil. And dimagh means brain. Yadmaghu, which means the haq, when the haq comes, the brain of the batil stops functioning. This person, the batil gets a brain hemorrhage. No more functioning in this brain. That's a function in this brain. That's it. It stops working. This is the power of the haq. Of course, it leads us to a lot of beautiful understanding regarding the haq and batil. Without going into the details of it, just example that a lot of time people, when they see batil, and they see a lot of batil everywhere, falsehood, evils, fitness, wrongdoings, we get scared. What to do? How to deal with it? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling us it's very easy. Bring the haqq. This haqq will force the batil out of it anyway, by itself. You don't have to keep on chasing the batil everywhere. Just keep on bringing the haqq. One of the main reasons, very important reason for Muslims to be suffering is that we always had the haqq. We sat on the haqq. We never tried to bring the haqq up front. We were hiding it. We spent our lives over here hiding the haqq. And then when the batil starts getting strong, and now the batil gets onto our face and tells us, what do you have? You have nothing. Get away. Get out of my face. Get out of my country. And all of a sudden the person is afraid. I have all the haqq. Don't we have the iman? Don't we have this deen? Yes, you do have it. Where is it? Where did you keep it? It's in that book that's sitting on your shelf collecting dust. We put the haqq over there. We hid it. No one had any access to it. No one was able to learn it. No one was able to even know that we even have that haqq. No, hide it so much that no one even knows that I belong to that haqq. We hid it always. And then all of a sudden these questions are coming into our mind. What's happening? Nothing is happening. It's only what we have done. When my own neighbor who lives around me for the last 20 years, 30 years, he comes and tells me that it looks like Islam based on terrorism. Whose fault is it? When he's happy to see these type of things made about Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, why is that? If I have respect for his father, because he told me so much about his father, although he never lived in this neighborhood, but his father lived somewhere else, he told me so much about his father, how great of a man he is, and I have so much respect when his father comes. I go to visit him, and I invite him to my home, that I really have heard so much about you, and so many nice things about you. It's such a pleasure to meet you. And when this person hears about Muhammadur Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he has no feeling. He was successful in giving us information about his father, and we failed to give him the information about our Prophet. Otherwise, if not more, at least we could have done very similar work about Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, so that when these type of things would come up, the person would say, no, this is not right to do something like this about this man. Do it about anyone else, but not this man. Because I have heard so much about him. This man was so great. He helped so many people. You know, we need to realize where we live, what we do. We are living in a society that is hungry, looking for food. That is thirsty, looking for some water. This society is looking for something. All of a sudden, they go through the history, find a person who was able to help 3 girls. Oh, someone in the history helped 3 girls that were orphans, and he helped them to get married without presenting his name up front and without letting anyone know who he was. And then finally people found out that his name was Sand Necklace. Let's celebrate a day, Santa Claus. Now he would come and give us gifts throughout our lives. The society is hungry. They're looking for these things. One example is such a great thing, mashallah, grab it, make it and celebrate days of it. Try to imitate that person. And imitating that person, with a big beard. They don't dislike that beard on that man. But they'll dislike it on people like us because they have not seen what these are signs of, what they stand for. If you are a good man, take it off. Then prove that you are good. There is a sign for it. This is how we always prove ourselves being good in the society. So, we always kept the haqq away from people. We have no right to complain. In fact, not only that this is what's happening, there will be a day when the same people really can grab us before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They can hold us responsible. That, Ya Allah, he used to live next to me. I asked him so many times. He never told me a single time who this man was. He never told me anything about this book. Ya Allah, I never even knew about it. And he used to live in my neighborhood. Haqq is always strong. Haqq is always stands on a strong foundation. And whenever it comes, the batil starts going away by itself. Really, the batil just goes away when haqq comes. So we need to bring the haqq. We need to show people what is haqq. And people would love to see it. People are not running away from the haqq. Yes, there will be some people, and they're always being there. Even at the time of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and throughout the history, some people would always be there. But general public. And I always this is with all sincerity, I always admire a lot of people that we associate with out there, how open-minded people are, how willing they are to listen to you. After everything, they would like to call you, Muhammad, would you tell me something about this? I heard this. Can you tell me something about it? Whereas, if we would hear this much about that person, we may not even talk to the person anymore. I mean, there are people out there with qualities. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given different people different qualities. These qualities are there, of searching, of hearing. If people can spend $50,000 on searching for what food is liked most by mice, and at the end find out something that we always knew from childhood, and that was cheese, after spending $50,000, but it tells you one thing, that you are living around people who like to research, who like to find more, who like to ask questions. It's an opportunity. Present anything. So, this is the haqq. We need to, this is the effect of the haqq. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the source of all haqq. Every haqq comes from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us in Quran al-Kareem, الحق من ربك فلا تكونن من الممترين. Haqq always comes from your Lord, so never have doubt about it. Never doubt the haqq. Never consider yourself to be in a weak position when you have the haqq. الحق من ربك. Haqq, truth, always is from your Rabb subhanahu wa ta'ala. فلا تكونن من الممترين. After having the haqq, never be of those who have any doubt. Which means the beauty of this deen is no more doubts. firm understanding of aqidah, of belief, of our relationship connection with Allah, with Rasulullah, with the deen of Allah, with the book of Allah. فَلَا تَكُونَنَّ مِنَ الْمُمْتَرِينَ. There is no room for doubts anymore. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us in Surah Al-Hajj, ذَلِكَ بِأَنَّ اللَّهَ هُوَ الْحَقِّ وَأَنَّهُ يُحْيِي الْمَوْتَى. He says, everything in this world is there and is happening, the functioning the way it's functioning, because the one that is working behind it is Allah, and أَنَّ اللَّهَ هُوَ الْحَقِّ. Allah is haqq. And He is the haqq, He is the source of every haqq comes from Him, so He brings things, He shows us things that will prove realities to the people. وَأَنَّهُ يُحْيِي الْمَوْتَى, and He is the one who brings people back to life. وَأَنَّهُ عَلَى كُلِّ شَيْءٍ قَدِيرٌ, and He has the power over everything. Today, with all the war between haqq and batil, the only reason behind all of these misunderstandings is people have not accepted Allah to be the source of haqq. Once we accept Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to be haqq and the source of every haqq, then I would not try to prove myself be the haqq. I would then always accept Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to be the haqq. Allah is haqq, His deen is haqq, His book is haqq, His words are haqq, and His prophet is haqq. And Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam taught us this beautiful dua as a reminder for all believers. Anta al-haqq. This is the dua of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Anta al-haqq. You are haqq. وَوَعْدُكَ haqq. Your promises are haqq. وَلِقَاؤُكَ haqq. Meeting you someday is haqq. وَالنَّبِيُّونَ haqq. All the prophets were haqq. They were true. All of these things that came from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they have their connection with Allah, they all are haqq. So, the end of all of these wars of haqq and batil, of truth and falsehood, is to make people understand that let's realize and admit to the fact that Allah is the source of the haqq. Once they believe this, then let's see what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says about it. A lot of times, when I get questions, especially, for example, question about hijab. And then you hear so many objections. How can we do this if we apply this? How can we do this, that? You may have 10, 15, or even 20, 30 reasons that hijab should not be there. That's fine. Okay. I agree to all of your reasons. Very strong, very beautiful. But the point is, let us see, what does Allah say in Quran? If He says do it, would then I still consider my 30 reasons to be the haqq, or this ayah of Quran to be the haqq? And if Allah doesn't say, there is no reason even to consider anything else than after all of these reasons. Then we don't have to worry about nothing. But if Allah said do it, just like if a person would come to us, 5 times daily prayer is too much for us, we can't do it, if we don't do it we will achieve this, if we don't fast during the month of Ramadan. And there was time, you read the history and we don't have to go too far, very recent, and maybe within our lifetime, some of those so-called Muslim countries went through these positions when the president or the prime minister would get up and make an announcement that this Ramadan there will be no fasting, because our country is suffering financially. And if people would fast, then that would even take us further back in our financially. So therefore, this Ramadan, no one should fast. I think it was in Algeria some time ago when the president came on the TV and he made this announcement that no more, this year we are not going to be fasting because we need the farmers especially to keep on doing their work during the daytime. They can't do the work nighttime, and then because of the fasting they can't do as much work during the daytime. So therefore, this year especially farmers and then many other people, should not be fasting. And here I have the Grand Mufti of the country, and he is going to come up and he will confirm what I'm saying and he will give you the fatwa. So Grand Mufti comes up. And he had convinced him earlier that this is what you're going to say. So the Grand Mufti of the country comes up on the TV after the President have made this introduction. And his words surprised everyone when he came up and said on the TV, recited the ayah of Quran. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu kutiba alaykum as-siyam. All you who believe, fasting has been prescribed on you people and you are obligated to fast. Sadaq Allah wa kadhab hadha ar-rajul. Allah has said the truth and the President of the country is a liar. You know? Whatever happens to him after that, Allahu a'lam. But haqq is haqq. Just look when it came to that position. Sadaq Allah. Allah has said the truth and he is lying, because when he stands in front of Allah and he is opposing Allah, then there is that test. Then Allah is haqq. We can't stand for anyone else. We can't accept nothing else from no one. Because Allah said it, this is haqq. Imagine the strength of this person's iman when he would come up. He didn't tell him earlier this is what I would do, because he was afraid he would bring someone else and that person may just give that fatwa. So he wanted to come up and make sure he gives that message of the haqq and the truth to the people. So always when there is dispute between haqq and batil, is because people have not understood that haqq is Allah and whatever comes from Allah is haqq, and that should be the final word. Allah, His book, His messenger, that is the final word. Another attribute of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is al-wakil. Wakil, sometimes translated as trustee. In our language, we normally use the word lawyer, which means wakil is a person who would be taking care of some of your work on your behalf. This is wakil. If a person is in charge of doing something on your behalf, that person is your wakil. And as I said, lawyers are called wakil in Arabic and even in other languages. Wakala goes beyond just being a lawyer. For example, a woman, as she got married, she has a wakil in the marriage, which means this person is in charge of taking care of her responsibilities, will be acting on her behalf in this position, and he will do whatever needs to be done on her behalf. So this is wakil, someone who's in charge of another person or of something on behalf of someone else. Depending on what this person has to do, if he has to do a lot of things, this person does a lot of things on your behalf, then of course you have a lot of trust on this person, a lot of wakala this person is doing, or you may be using the person just one or two matters. These are all very brief wakala, which means very limited wakala, which means he is representing you in very few things of your life. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says about himself that he is our wakil. What does it mean? Simply, you can just translate this in the same way that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala takes care of everything on our behalf. In fact, in Quran al-Kareem, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in Surah Al-Zumar, وَهُوَ عَلَى كُلِّ شَيْءٍ وَكِيلٌ. He is wakil over everything, which means just think of your need, think anything that you need to get and do, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would prepare the means for you to fulfill it. I need to go home once I'm done from here. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala prepared the means for us that we got a car. In the past, people had horses, camels. Before that, or those who didn't have those, they had the strength of walking for miles. This is all wakala, which means Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is taking care of all of our needs. In fact, if we look even deeper on this topic, and this could be very deep, but just to have some understanding of it, and then we can go back and give a good thought to this wakala, then how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala takes care of all of our needs and everything on our behalf. This whole world, the whole system, the way it's running, with rains, with sun and moon's movement, with the movement of this world, with the stars being there, with the trees growing, with human beings getting born and dying, with hospitals, with medicine, you name it, anything that you can think of that is happening in the world. All of these things, of course, are happening for the benefit of human beings. We, the human beings, if we had to put all of our resources and abilities to develop these things and make them function the way they are, we would run out of resources. We don't have those resources to make the sun keep on running the way it runs. Just that one thing will kill us. Or grow the trees ourselves, make sure that we keep on pulling it every day. Whatever we need to do to make it now, all we need to do is just water it. Throw some chemicals. Oh, I did all the work. In every field of our life, if we really look at it, the thing that we do is nothing, not even 0.1% in comparing to what work is being done on this thing before it is in that shape, in that form. Very simple example. A piece of bread. We get a piece of bread in our hand. I paid $1 for it. MashaAllah. You paid that $1. How did we get that $1? Not even going in that $1. Yeah, this could be very deep. They are not even going into how did I make that $1? How many people worked for me in preparing even this $1 before I got $1? But skipping all of those backgrounds of this $1, I had $1 in my hand. Starting from here until I went to the store. As simple as that. I went to the store, I got this bread. Okay. Just look at how many people worked on this bread before it came available to me in the store, and then I got it for $1. How many people worked on it? Some of the scholars, they analyze this whole fact of just the bread, and they tell us that there are about 360 people worked on every piece of bread that you get. They are including all the angels also that are responsible of different things that this bread has to get before it is in the shape and form. The angel of the air, the angel of the water, the angel of the growth. I mean, there are so many angels that are working on it. So there are angels working on it, there are human beings working on it. If we start paying all of these people for getting that piece of bread, we won't afford the bread. We can never afford it. It is the blessing of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala who is al-wakil. We need to realize it. He's not asking us to pay, but we need to understand that He is al-wakil. That He made all the system work for us. People working throughout the world. When we are sleeping, people are up. They are working different shifts. And we are getting the benefit of all of their work. They are putting their lives into things. And not one person. Factories. There are 100 people standing in a row there to get this product out. Now I feel that I got it because I had $1. No, Al-Wakil subhanahu wa ta'ala made the whole system work on our behalf. We need it. He knows our needs. So He made the whole system work on our behalf. Today, someone all of a sudden gets a disease, a type of disease that he never heard of in his life. Never seen a person in that situation. Goes to the doctor to find out, yes, there is a medicine for it. Now, let this person find out how many people really worked, how much money was spent to research on this disease and to find this medicine and then to get this medicine available to this person for his use. How many people had to work on it? This is al-wakil, who makes the whole system work for human beings' benefit, and we benefit from everything. We don't even know we are benefiting from who and from what and how many millions of people's efforts are being put on things that we are using on our daily basis without realizing that how many people really worked on this. And finally then I got it. What is all of this? This is al-wakil, who makes the whole system, who makes all of these people work for our benefit. We have a lawyer, we go and pay him, he works on that specific case. And then he will always make sure that